What is up, everybody? We are going to be doing a mock draft going into the championship weekend, and this will be posted on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. If you're coming over from my TikTok, thank you for subscribing to my YouTube and vice versa. If you're watching on YouTube, go sub to my TikTok. Follow me on Instagram too, if you can. I got the campsite link in my bio to all. So we're going to go through my mock today. I posted the first two parts on TikTok. I'm doing the full thing here. We'll be pretty quick with it, and I'll describe why I am going in this direction with the picks. First off, let's get, and this is, again, this will be on YouTube after. So obviously I'm sharing my screen here. Let's start this draft. And if you don't know already, this is what I had for the Tennessee Titans. I had them trading with the New York Jets. Jets 7, and then giving them a round 1 for Indy and a round 2 overall. So they keep their 2027 first round just in case they're ass again. They get that, and let's give them a 6th too. Why not? Offer trade. That gets them the quarterback that I think they've been eyeing the whole time, which is Fernando Mendoza. If you look at the adjusted completion percentage, maybe it's great. He's been very good. I just don't know if he offers much upside, but he's obviously a very smart quarterback with a high floor. I think they need some stability in that quarterback room, just someone who can deliver quick passes, who's tall, big, probably less injury prone because he's tall and big. So I think that's the direction they'll go. Next, the Saints. It's obvious they need a Cam Jordan replacement. This is the most obvious pick. Bain offers the most upside besides maybe Arvell Reese, but I think he has the highest floor as a big pass rusher who can stick there. I think the Saints take him there. And the Giants, here's where it gets interesting. They have a twitchy wide receiver already already. Okay. They already do. Okay. And Malik Neighbors. Wandale is cool, whatever, but Wandale is not a wide receiver too. I don't care how much you like Wandale. You could go Arvell Reese here, but they already have a nasty D line. You could go Tyson. You go Caleb Downs. It's a little high for a safety. That might be the best fit. I think they go Mekhi Lemon, who obviously is the best receiving grade in the country. He is 5'11", 195, so he's a little small, but he's the next Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm pretty confident in my evaluation of him being the best wide receiver in this draft. I don't care that he's slower, less complete of a receiver than Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson. But at the end of the day, I really think that this is a guy that can really dominate at a pretty high level here. Let me just make sure this is going. I'm going to check to make sure that you guys can hear me really quick on TikTok. Hold on one second. If you guys, I'm live streaming this first if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, let me just make sure this is all working. It is. I'm live streaming this first if you're watching on YouTube. Cool. All right, it is working. I just had to make sure because I had muted the site, the PFF site, but obviously I didn't want to mute myself. So again, the Raiders here, you could take a quarterback. There's a few options. Obviously, there's Ty Simpson, who's very good. I think is the best prospect in this draft, like as the good mix of like floor and upside. I think Moore will end up being the best NFL quarterback. If you're asking me who's probably the most complete all-around upside guy, but I don't think they can develop more. They're going to need to really prioritize that O-line first. It's not a great in like offensive line draft in general. I think Fano is probably the best bet. Brings a lot of run block, pass block, big guy, can do both at a decently high level. Utah guys, you can typically trust Utah players in general. I mean, Kyle Wyndham's got them coached really well. Here's where it gets interesting. I do think the Rams want Dante Moore, and if they see him on the board here, they will trade a 2 in 2027 and their 9th overall pick, and maybe we'll give them a 6 too, just to move up 4 spots. Browns get some compensation. Obviously, I don't think they're going to be taking a quarterback. If Shedeur continues to play pretty well, you can say what you want about the Niner game. I think he played pretty well. He was sacked a few times. He does need to learn what a check down is, but I think overall, if we're looking at the Browns, you can't just keep dart throwing at quarterback. You got to build the rest of the roster. Obviously, that defense is pretty stacked already. Could take a receiver there. I would rather get all the draft compensation in the world to give Shedeur Sanders the best chance at success. If it doesn't work out next year is when you can take the quarterback in the Arch, Julian Sayin, Lenore Sellers draft. So the Rams here, I think it's pretty obvious that Dante Moore would be a perfect fit. You see his passing grade's 90.4, his deep grade 98 leads the country, no pressure grade. I mean, he's the most complete prospect in the draft at the quarterback position. I think that's a perfect fit. I would hate him to be a Ram because I like him so much and I hate the Rams, but I think that's probably the perfect selection there, which leads me to the Commanders. I think they take Caleb Downs. I really do. But if they're in this position, like I think that's their initial thought. If they're in this position, Arvell Reese is available, who might go 1-1. I think they go Arvell Reese. You got to go best player available at this point, right? So that's where I go there. And again, that is already posted on my TikTok. More explanation, obviously, on this video. But if you saw the TikTok, make sure you go check that out as well. And if you're watching from TikTok, make sure you go sub to my YouTube because this is going to be live afterwards. More and more content, Niners content, draft content, fantasy content, more of my long form stuff. I'm trying to monetize on YouTube. So I really appreciate it if you guys go over there and give me a sub and watch some videos. Just enjoy your time. I love all you guys. So let's go into the Tennessee Titans here. Obviously, they traded back. A few guys on the board. I really think the best option here is Tate. I mean, he's the best vertical in the class. Contested rate monster. I think he brings something that they need. I could see Tyson there. Lemon makes less sense for that team. I think they need more of like a Tate or Tyson, twitchy vertical threat receiver. But the perfect fit, I think, for the Cardinals alongside Michael Wilson and, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jordan Tyson. I think he's the perfect fit between those. I could see Mekhi Lemon if he falls here. That would be a perfect complement as well. But they could go in a variety of directions. I think having that trio of Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jordan Tyson would be lethal because their defense is pretty good. Gannon's a good defensive coach. I really like what he's brought. I know he's got the short end of the stick because the quarterback situation is a little murky, but you're not going to be picking a quarterback in this class, right? Maybe they look to trade to Kyler, get some compensation. This leads me to the Browns. Caleb Downs, he's just a safety. I know he should go this high. He's not going to go this high. That is my problem there. I think that Cleveland's going to trade back again because Pittsburgh really wants a quarterback. I think they would give him a 27-1 just to move up 5 spots to force this trade. I mean, this would obviously be accepted because you're moving back 5 spots and get a 1. And I think they take Ty Simpson from Alabama, who I love. He's an intermediate grade, best intermediate passer in this class. Average up targets very good. I think he'll be an excellent NFL quarterback. And I think him or Mendoza is probably a perfect fit for that Pittsburgh team. So this leads me to the Bengals here. Again, Caleb Downs still available, which is ridiculous. Love still available. I know I've heard a lot of noise of Jeremiah Love to the Bengals, but let's be real. It would be organizational malpractice if they don't take David Bailey or Keldrick Falk here. They need an edge rusher, especially since they're not going to re-sign Trey Hendrickson. 95.1 true set pass rush grade is excellent. 93.1 pass grade is awesome. Let's take him there. And again, these first 12 picks are on TikTok, and then the rest is, I'm sure, what all of you guys are waiting for. So stay patient. I'm about to get there. Minnesota Vikings, I do think this is where Love goes. Truly, I think they are all bought in on their roster. They have $300 million dedicated to their entire roster besides JJ, who's on a rookie contract. I think they pair him, try and take some pressure off of him, make it a little easier because that run game is not working with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I don't think it's entirely their fault. A lot of it is JJ McCarthy's lack of ability to be ready to play quarterback at the NFL level. But I just don't think they would take a quarterback there unless Dante Moore is there. So I do think Jeremiah Love's the pick there. Dolphins, it gets interesting. This is a match made in heaven. They need a safety desperately. I know they need a wide receiver, but I think taking the best player in the draft, arguably, at 12 is a win in my eyes. I think you got to do it there, which Kansas City now has a plethora of options, assuming they don't make the playoffs, assuming they have this 13th, 14th, 15th overall pick, and it's a kind of a rebuilding year for them. Mansour Delane is the best corner in the country. They need a cornerback desperately. I know Watson had a pick last game, but Watson stinks. And we know they haven't been the same in their secondary since they lost L'Jarius Sneed. That's been evident. Obviously, McDuffie's great. Pairing Delane with McDuffie and letting Spagnuolo develop him into that next elite corner for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think would be the perfect thing right there for them. Otherwise, I think they have a pretty perfect roster. They have an elite wide receiver 1 in Rashee Rice. I know they need a running back, but Jeremiah Love isn't there. If he was, that would probably be the pick. I think they'd probably take a Jonah Coleman or maybe a Damon Claiborne in round 2 or 3. And I think that would be a pretty good pick. So this gets me to Cleveland right here, who traded back for all of this draft compensation. Um, there's so many directions they could go in here. Really, a lot of directions they can go in here. I do think corner is important for them, but really, it's tough for me to see like they need a corner. Jamon McCoy is available. Linebacker Sonny Styles is available. I personally think it's hard to pass up Keldrick Falk and pairing him alongside Myles Garrett. They have so many other needs. Peter Woods would be awesome, but they just drafted Mason Graham, so they obviously can't take him. I think what they're going to end up doing is bolstering that line and take Malagoa. Truly, I think Malagoa is probably the pick there. They get another tackle. It's kind of a position of need. Protect Shedeur Sanders. You have a ton of draft compensation. I think that's the pick there. Now, I don't think Carolina needs a receiver like other people think they do. I think the perfect fit here would be to get another edge rusher, and Keldrick Falk's still on the board. That is house money you're playing with right there. He is so good. I think he's top 10 player in the draft, but he falls there because I think evaluators are kind of in on Bailey and what the production has been this year versus Falk is more of a project. Obviously, Derek Brown's been great this season for them. They have Prince Ali, who they just drafted. Imagine pairing Keldrick there, kind of bolstering that defense further because I like their secondary a lot. As you can see, the last few weeks, their secondary has played very well. I think they have 5 interceptions the last two games, which is pretty crazy. So Dallas here gets a match made in heaven with Sonny Styles, who I like a lot. They need a linebacker, need somebody like that. Like I think that's a perfect fit. They might go line. They typically go offensive line every single year. Again, this is Mendoza, Bain, Lemon, Fano, Rams trade up, Jets trade up as well. Moore, Reese, Carnell Tate, Tyson, Simpson, Bailey, Love, Downs, Delane, Malagoa, Falk, Styles. So I don't think the Raiders, I know people are probably going to be like, why are the Raiders not taking a quarterback? I mean, they're setting up a quarterback to fail, just as Cleveland would, unless they get the line figured out. And Cleveland's lines play pretty well, but I think they should establish the rest of the roster and give Shedeur one more year because they picked 3 quarterbacks last year, right? 2 or 3. So now we go to Detroit, and I mean, Peter Woods falling to 17. Come on, man, you got to they got to do it. Like it makes so much sense for them. This is the easiest pick of the entire draft. Houston desperately needs a guard or tackle. This guy's been flying up all boards. I think they go with him because Ursary, I think, has done a very good job. I can't even pronounce his name, but I've watched a lot of his tape. I think he's very good. Baltimore here, you need a wide receiver. Concepcion would seem like the Zay Flowers type of pick, but they need an X receiver, and I think it's time that they finally take a 6'4", 210 guy for Lamar Jackson. Denzel Boston, pretty great receiver there. I could see Jacoby Lane if he tests very well, and they like him, contested catch guy. They need someone to really be a downfield big receiver because DeAndre Hopkins is, 35? And, chances are, even though he's played well in the limited time, we've seen his PFF grade, he's not going to be on the team next season, right? Next, we go to Tampa. This is another match made in heaven. Kenyon Sadiq is right there. I think he's truly easily the best tight end in the draft. I like Eli Stowers a lot. I like Trigg a lot, but I think they go Sadiq there. Otten just hasn't been getting it done, in my opinion. I think they continue to bolster that offense because they seem to be going all in on offense. Here's where it gets interesting. Cassius Howell is available for the Bills there. He's been insane. TJ Parker is available for the Bills there. But they need a corner so bad. I think they take the upside of McCoy. I know they went Hairston last year. McCoy could become the best corner from this draft. He's obviously been out all year. And that leads, Philadelphia Eagles. Who are they going to take here? I mean, Cassius Howell makes the most sense. I don't think he fits exactly what they want. I think they could develop Caden Proctor. I think he could start as a guard for them, and I think they could develop him at a very high level. In the Jets here, it's obvious what they're going to do. They take Mendoza 1. They're taking Elijah Surratt with their second first-round pick. Pair the quarterback with his favorite receiver from college. If it's not him, it's Cooper right there. It makes too much sense, which allows the Niners to really have their pick of the litter here at edge rusher, which is something that's become a position of need. I think they could go wide receiver with Chris Bell, who could play the Debo role pretty well. He's really good. He's 6'2", 220. I think he fits what they want. Concepcion is a yards after catch guy who could return punts for them as well. Jacoby Lane is a vertical threat that they could need. So they have their pick of the litter. But Cassius Howell doesn't fit their big edge rushers that they like. TJ Parker does. He's a little bigger. He's 260, 6'3", 6'4". I think they take TJ Parker because you've got, at the end of the day, just you need an edge rusher with Michael and Bosa out to start next season, probably. Leads me to the Chargers. I think Cassius Howell is a perfect fit there. I think that makes too much sense. They could go offensive line considering they've had a lot of injuries this season. But again, we go to Cleveland, their second pick of the first round. Obviously, they got this from Jacksonville and the Travis Hunter trade. This is where I think you can get a little frisky with the receiver. I like Concepcion a lot. I like Jacoby Lane a lot. You could take a corner here. Terrell's pretty good. I think, Terrell's going to test well. I think the guy that is going to rise up and fly up draft boards is actually this guy. Where is he? He's a corner. Chris Johnson. I know he's a San Diego State guy, but he's really good. A little bit of a tweener, right? Well, not really. He's 195. I think that's who they end up taking. I think they get a corner right there. So, again, Dallas now has the second pick of the first round right here. By the way, if the Niners took TJ Parker as a 49ers fan, I would die and go to heaven. I'd buy his jersey immediately. That is already he's a better prospect already, a better player than Mykel Williams, by the way, right now. Even though Clemson's season hasn't been very great, TJ Parker has not been bad. So Dallas took a linebacker there. I think, tackle is the obvious way to go right here, but I think they double down and take a D lineman. Well, no, they got Quinnen Williams, actually. This is tough. If they re-sign George Pickens, I could see this guy. He's pretty good. I think they always take a tackle with one of the picks in the first round. Seattle, I think is a match made in heaven. They need a center. I think they're going to take Connor Lew. I think he's very good. I know he's fallen a bit, but Seattle always kind of picks a guy that's not supposed to go round one, and then he does. Rams' second pick here is obviously if they take Dante Moore at that first pick, they have a variety of directions they can go, and I think they would go because Devontae Adams is so old, even though I don't know if obviously he's on the team next season. They could go Chris Brazell or Jacoby Lane here to pair alongside Dante Moore for the future. I think they go Jacoby Lane, who could really play the Devontae Adams role once Devontae retires. New England has a plethora of directions they could go in here, truly. Edge rusher, receiver, corner. I like a lot. I like Colton Hood a lot. I think he's had a really good year. I just don't know if I would take him that high. I kind of think you got to go Romello Height here and kind of go best player available. Get another edge rusher. So, again, I'll go through this entire draft when it's almost over. And again, if you're on TikTok, make sure you're subscribing to my YouTube for all this long form content right now that I'm posting. This is obviously going to go live on YouTube right after. If you're watching for YouTube, make sure to check out my TikTok and my Instagram and my Twitter, which I've been posting more on, trying to be very good about that. What up? We got 49ers media here saying what's up. I would love TJ Parker, man. So I think Lou might have torn his ACL, which is an issue. So if it's not Lou, I guess theoretically it could be Jake Slaughter. I could see there at center. He's had a pretty good year. They got to take a center. They got to take a center regardless. Bears here, obviously they want a running back. They're not going to get one. Caleb Banks just falls to their lap. He's had a bad year, but the upside is so tantalizing. And here's the pick that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I think the Broncos are going to fall in love with Michael Trigg. And that's who they're going to pick. Really, truly. So again, here's the final draft board. I'll show you right here. Fernando Mendoza, Jets trading up. Ruben Bain to the Saints. Giants taking Mekhi Lemon at 3, which a lot of people will see as high, but in 10 years, when he's a Hall of Famer and a 10-year All-Pro, people are going to be like, "Whoa, that was a good pick." To help Jackson Dart's development. Spencer Fano there, getting a lineman. I don't think it's the year for the Raiders to take a quarterback, especially with the Geno contract. They can get out of it, but I just don't see him doing that. Rams trading up, Dante Moore, quarterback, Oregon. Arvell Reese falls to 6. Carnell Tate at 7. Titans trade back. Obviously, they want Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain, but here they take Carnell Tate. 8, Jordan Tyson. 9, Pittsburgh trades up, gives up a first-round pick in 2027, takes Ty Simpson, which allows Cleveland to trade back again, which was originally the Rams pick. So Cleveland gets another 2027 first-round pick, multiple firsts for all the trading back that they've done to build around Shedeur Sanders and, Garrett and the rest of the roster. 10, David Bailey, who's one of my favorite players in the country. 11, Jeremiah Love. 12, Caleb Downs for the Dolphins. Kansas City getting Mansour Delane would piss me off so much, but I think it's inevitable if they don't make the playoffs. Francis Mauigoa, Cleveland continuing to build that offensive line. Keldrick Falk at 15 to the Panthers, alongside Princely, alongside Derek Brown would be great. Sonny Styles at 16. Obviously, the Cowboys could use another linebacker. Peter Woods falls to the Lions at 17 right now in this mock. Obviously, I can't pronounce this guy's name from Penn State, but he's the best guard in the country. I think Houston's inevitably going to draft a lineman, regardless of whether it's Caden or whether it's this guy. They're gonna. I think Ursery can stick a tackle, so I think they've done a very good job there. Kenyon Sadiq to the Buccaneers or the Broncos. I could see either, but he goes there. 21, Jermon McCoy. Bills get another good corner. I could see him going edge rusher. Caden Proctor, tackle to the Eagles. Can start him at guard and then develop him into a tackle. Jets, since they took Mendoza, you take the wide receiver from college, Elijah Surratt, who's gotten better every single year, which allows TJ Parker to fall to the San Francisco 49ers, which would be a pipe dream for them, considering Michael Williams is going to be out to start the season. And, of course, as well, Nick Bosa. Cassius Howell, 25 to the Chargers, get him another edge rusher, considering Khalil Mack's age. Chris Johnson, I think, is the guy that's going to rise up all draft boards. He's the small school, guy that everyone's like, oh my gosh, who is this? Not like Sauce Gardner but there's been a ton of corners from small schools that turn on to be superstars. And I think that guy, San Diego State, he's been insane. Dunker to the Cowboys. I think they get another one. Connor Lew or Jake Slaughter. Really, I think Seattle is so good with their roster. I think they just draft on need there. Rams take a vertical threat to replace Devontae Adams and Jacoby Lane. And of course, they got Dante Moore, so that's their future tandem. They don't have to play either next season, but they kind of set up the future there. Romello Height to the Patriots, Caleb Banks falls to the Bears, and then Mike Trigg to the Broncos. That is the first round. Make sure you're subbing to my YouTube for more. I'll be doing a mock draft every single week on Mondays. And yeah, if you're watching from TikTok, make sure you sub to my YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you check out my TikTok. Make sure you check out my